You're watching the analysis report by FinancialMirror.tv. Cyprus cut its economic growth forecast to 2.1% in 2009 from an earlier projection of 3% and expects a small fiscal deficit this year following a sharp reduction in home consumption and expectations that the European Commission will proceed with a major downward revision of its growth forecast for the Eurozone. Finance Minister Harilaos Stavrakis told a news conference that the unemployment rate is seen deteriorating to 4.5% from the original forecast of 4.2%. Stavrakis is also projecting a deterioration in the fiscal balance and now forecasts a 0.8% deficit as opposed to the original 0.4% surplus. The growth forecast is more in tune with central bank staff projections of 2% growth in 2009. On the bright side, the inflation rate is seen at 2% as opposed to our original projection of 2.5% for 2009, said Stavrakis, who added that despite the sharp reduction in the growth target for 2009, the rate of growth in Cyprus will be far better than the Eurozone average. Stavrakis told the Financial Mirror that the slowdown and recession in many EU countries, and principally in the UK, in addition to the 30% decline of sterling against the euro and the steep decline in economic activity in Russia, as well as a slowdown in home consumption, had all contributed to the steep deterioration in the forecasts. I remain an optimist and personally believe that the GDP growth rate will average 2.6% in 2009, and the fiscal deficit will not exceed 0.6% of GDP, as I expect a rebound in the second half, said Stavrakis. Cyprus registered a surplus of 1% of gross domestic product in 2008, with the GDP growth rate at 3.7%. The unemployment rate at 4% and the public debt to GDP ratio at 49.5%. Stavrakis dismissed claims by the opposition DC party that the government is not doing enough to stimulate the economy. He referred to the recently announced €40 million package for development projects in addition to the €12 million earmarked for the Cyprus Tourism Organization to spend in order to attract tourists, and the government's pledge to accelerate by 10% the already announced 2009 development budget, amounting to €1.1 billion. The combined €150 million package corresponds to 1.2% of the GDP, which is very close to the 1.5% target stressed by the European Commission as part of efforts to kickstart economies in the 27-member group. Stavrakis clarified that there will be no tax reductions since the state of the economy in Cyprus is in a better situation than compared to other countries, such as the UK, where the government there recently announced the decision to reduce the VAT rate to 15%, which in any event is the minimum EU level already applied by Cyprus. In response to criticism that the government is not doing enough to force interest rates lower, Stavrakis said interest rate policy and bank supervision is the responsibility of the central bank and not the finance ministry. According to Stavrakis, the governor of the central bank, Athanasios Orfanidis, who is a voting member on the ECB Council, has said interest rates will head lower from the second half of 2009. We are doing everything in our power to increase liquidity in the banking system and help drive rates lower, said Stavrakis, referring to the decision to place €700 million with the banks on deposit until October at the rate of 4%. The amount is part of the €1.4 billion loan that the government loaned from the commercial banks for 39 weeks as it attempts to create liquidity in the market and at the same time pay off maturing debt. In 2009, Cyprus faces €1.7 billion in debt maturities that have to be rolled over. Cyprus is still in a much better situation and has the ability to come out of this situation without much damage, concluded Stavrakis. Thank you for watching FinancialMirror.tv.